Mike, so great to have you on the podcast here today.
Appreciate that, Jared. Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Let's dig right in because, as I was going through your background before this episode, your background is perfect for this business that you're building. So would love to kind of give us, the few years before starting Brightwave and how that all kind of led into this business.
Sure. So Brightwave is an AI research platform for financial services. And these problems that we're solving are ones that I've been thinking about for a long time. So I have a PhD in a technical discipline adjacent to machine learning, cut my teeth at LinkedIn, and have been building systems that use AI and machine learning to create products that show us something about the world that is not otherwise obvious, whether it's feed relevance recommendations on the LinkedIn homepage or, top flight research publications on how you can use 500 million job transitions to predict next quarter S&P 500 market cap changes, through recently to my time at Databricks, where I created one of the first language models to demonstrate that open source technologies could behave like ChatGPT. The through line with all of this is that systems like the global economy are governed by processes that we are unable to see in our day-to-day lives. And comparable processes would be epidemics or traffic or like a crowd at a concert. You get up in the balcony and you can see these compression waves moving through large groups of people, and the economy and the financial markets exhibit some of these properties also. And we are building a system that allows a person to direct the attention of an AI assistant so that they are able to perceive and process more total information more quickly in order to accelerate time to insight. And so whether that's looking at public equity comparables and understanding among this set of EV manufacturers which have the best access to lithium for their batteries, or pre-term sheet diligence for a private credit deal, and you're filling out templates and you're just really trying to get your ducks in order when you've got 60 decks and pieces of documentation that are adjacent to a deal that you've got to burn through. Understanding subtle changes in management tone and guidance across earnings calls. We have just historically thrown people at these problems, and it's not clear that that is the best way to solve the problem anymore.
I was going through when a lot of people, like when you have an analyst also covering a company, right? Whether it's an equity analyst or investment banking analyst, in the past, they were only able to cover so many companies because they had to listen to every earnings call and read the transcripts and go through everything. And AI has really transformed how we think through that, which is perfect for what you're doing here. What was your aha moment that's like, I need to start this? Like, I feel like there's all this stuff that leads in, right? Your background was the lead in to what you wanted to do, but what was the aha moment where it's like, I need to do this?
So I would say that really beginning to appreciate when for non-technical listeners in the audience, we talk about, with respect to language models, something called the context window, which is basically how much text the model is able to process in a single inference pass, like a single call to the model. And as we started to see larger and larger context windows, it used to be that they could only process, 500 or 1,000 words in total, which is really interesting, but not that useful. And you started to see this expansion of how much text the model was able to operate on simultaneously. And it's kind of a mathematical byproduct of how they do the work, that they don't read text like we do, which is like I am the very model of a modern major general, the Gilbert Sullivan lyric, like from left to right. Language models look at all the words at the same time and then look at the relationships between them and create these internal semantic representations of language and meaning. And I originally thought that when you could have a million token or roughly a million word context window, that you would have a system that could connect the dots across many, many documents in a single call to the model. And that, with respect to these problems that I've been thinking about for many, many years, which is how do you create systems that distill structure out of very, very large volumes of text and sort of data, it was like this is the moment. Now, it turns out that's not true, and that it is not so simple as just putting all of the SEC filings in a large context window and letting God sort them out, which is something we've learned, and part of why we think we're building a fairly defensible business is that it turns out it's a technically quite deep problem to get high quality insight out of these systems. And they're not for nothing. a lot of UI and product considerations, which go into making something like this usable for somebody who is spending their time focusing on what's most interesting rather than just doing the rote reading and fact extraction.
What's let's say super early days, what were some of the key problems that you were running into, and how did you kind of maybe get past that? You don't have to like, don't give any trade secrets away, but like,
It's okay. Listen, no, hearing me describe it is going to be quite different from being able to do it. It's an interesting question. So, I would say that I am a believer that language models are going to improve substantially. It is unclear to me that they are able to self-supervise really, really open-ended work streams. And that may change, but there's an opportunity to be a little more prescriptive. So we originally thought, okay, large context windows and this agentic behavior, fully autonomous reasoning, basically solves the research problem. And that's actually not true with the current state-of-the-art models. We pushed very, very deep into what the foundation models are capable of. The trick is being a little more prescriptive about what exactly you want the system to do. And so think about a sequence of activities. I have a research instruction. How is NVIDIA's position in the GPU market impacted by rising tensions between the US and China? We can decompose that problem into multiple different research subthemes, identify relevant documents, read those documents. So one of the research subthemes might be how China's Belt and Road Initiative is expanding access to African mining operations. And that would, for the germanium and gallium that goes into semiconductor production, that would be relevant to understand for that NVIDIA question. We can decompose it into research subthemes, gather relevant documents, assess those documents in quite exhaustive detail, and then federate together insights from across a very, very large body of text into something that is comprehensive, information dense, and usable. That is less open-ended than figure it all out for me, write your own computer code, write your own program code to like solve the problem autonomously. It's more constrained in what the system is able to do, but it accomplishes the goal much more effectively. And so it's sort of like call it a creative constraint that turns out to be very, very useful in this context, given the current state of the art.
do you think across industries, and although I will tell you at Money 2020, I thought AI would be brought up like a lot more than it was, which was actually kind of it's nice where everyone just doesn't keep throwing it out though over and over and over again, right? Do you think we overstate? It sounds like this is where you were leading to, but like the current applications, not the future applications, but the current applications that like an AI agents can actually like fully automate particular tech, because like everyone's showing, I get shown these demos all the time, and I'm like, it's really not a demo. It's more of like a video of how you wanted it to actually be perceived. Like, do you think that's very commonplace right now across industries?
Call it a garden path demo, right? Where you just have to step on exactly these stones. I would say yes, like categorically yes. There's some good examples of our competitors showing demos that are live that just go horribly off the rails. And I think that is one of the reasons that with respect to internal initiatives also for large enterprises, you can have something that is very interesting and full of potential, but that does not have a quality threshold that passes muster in a consistent way across applications. And where, a concrete way for your listeners to test this is to take any Reuters news article, or really any piece of content, but I did this with Reuters recently, talking to somebody who cared about Reuters. Ask one of the commercial foundation models to extract all the organizations from that news article. Just give me a list of names. Current foundation models really struggle with that task. And you can see how that would be like very applicable to business operating and financial services. And I think where teams that come from a more pure finance background who are now operating AI engineering teams, we've got folks from UBS and Goldman and McKinsey and just really, really strong commercial and finance experience on the team. But we are an engineer-led company. And if you have a machine learning system like that organization extractor that is accurate at the 80% level or 85% level, and you do not have the benefit of experience building these systems to have much recourse And then you start chaining together calls where you have the organization extractor, and then you have it describe what the organizations are doing, or, what are the relationships between the organizations across all news articles. Boy, howdy, the data set gets messy very, very quickly. And I think that is to this question of like the difference between a demo that works as long as we exactly ask these and only these questions, and something that stands up under pressure from real analysts doing real work, and our system does. We hear this all the time. I think it is because it is a hard engineering problem that seems easy at first.
Interesting. And then what I notice is you have people that pitch, fully autonomous agents.
Yeah.
They slowly kind of back into what we can do is we can augment, these parts of the it turns from fully automating to we're going to augment the humans that are doing that, which is fine, but it seems like we kind of a lot of people went backwards with it, right? Like not to like, because I think they're investing in some really good companies, but to your point, when you're talking competition, I feel like there's always some posts from like Y Combinator for some new AI startup doing something, and it's like, the 2-minute video demo that may or may not like be exactly how if I test it, right? But anyways.
Well, and I think part of that, never attribute to ignorance that, or never attribute to malice that which can as easily be explained by ignorance. I think all of us are discovering what these technologies are actually capable of. And there is no user manual. It's like impossible to enumerate all of the things they can do. And so some of that, I think, is just because look at how the leads from the big labs are talking about this. Like ostensibly serious people are saying that artificial superintelligence will exist in the next 2 years. It's interesting that individuals in a leadership position with clearly, like obviously have access to non-public information, who are not coordinating with one another. Presume that Google and Meta and OpenAI and Anthropic, they are not coordinating on some persuasion campaign. They are all saying that huge step function changes in capabilities are coming down the pike. That's interesting. I think that is meaningful signal. The disconnect between that message and the day-to-day experience of a very, very high volume user of these tools is pretty substantial. And so I think like it's reasonable to believe or hope that, these systems can do more than they are able to. I think the misstep is full sending a business that doesn't actually do the thing that you describe, rather than breaking down the problem into smaller components and then implementing bread and butter machine learning practices, building your own models to whip the thing into shape so it's actually useful. And that's the approach that we've taken, and it seems to be working.
I want to tee up something because we talked about this earlier, and I'll say, by the way, again, congratulations on your Series A, which was announced.
Thanks.
Right at the end of October. Who participated, and where do you see kind of investing the funds from that raise? Like what areas of the business? Kind of give us a snapshot of what you think the next 6 months could look like in terms of next steps.
Yeah, so we raised a $15 million Series A, preempted by Decibel Partners. So they led our seed, and they just saw the incredible growth and traction we're experiencing and said, we want to get long on this business. Omers Ventures participated as well. So Omers is one of the largest pension funds in the world, 100 billion plus, the venture arm of 100 billion plus asset manager. And what was the second part of your question?
What's next now? So you raised 15 million. Where you're going to be kind of focusing in on now?
It's just scale. So we have seen very, very brisk traction in the market. We are expanding our commercial and go-to-market efforts to support more and more customers who want to use these products. So we tend to hire a smaller number of more experienced professionals. We've got our front-end engineering lead, product lead, led Instagram's integration with the Ray-Ban sunglasses and Oculus VR headset. He's a gangster. He's just great. There's nothing that he can't do. And that's, a characteristic of the kind of person we tend to hire. And so we're not just throwing bodies at the problem, but we do need a larger number of very, very operational humans to build this thing. We have some data partnerships in the works that we're very excited about. And, we are constructing this knowledge graph that describes in very high resolution detail the structure of the global economy. And not for nothing, that's a compute intensive project. And so across all of those dimensions, this capital just helps us accelerate.
When you said he's a gangster, I wanted to so bad, like pipe in the, what's it called, Gangster's Paradise, like just slowly in the background, right? Just uh, oh man, Mike, I'm super excited for you. Like this is terrific what you're building. I love your passion. I definitely want to chat with you again in the near future, kind of hear how things are at. Maybe like beginning of Q2 or something, we can circle back, kind of see where things are at. But thank you so much for joining, telling us more about your story. And again, congrats on the raise. That's huge. And I know that'll allow you to keep building out, your vision here.
Yeah, tremendous, Jared. Thanks so much for having me.